Hey y'all, it's Nancy the Handy Scandy here for Whimsy Stamps. Thanks for joining me again today. I am making for you on this day this very sweet accordion shaker tag book using this brand new Fox family stamp set, and I'm in love. I'm absolutely in love. So I have, as you can see, the sweet Fox family stamp set, and I have them all stamped out. And I ended up making 4 tags because I could not decide which of the images to use, so I just had to use them all. So we have a set, and they're absolutely adorable. I also have these wonderful and brand new to me Shaker Maker banner dies. I don't know why it took me so long to get them, but I'm glad I have them. And I also have these 4 tags from my stash. They were created with some leftover medium from a previous project that I did for Whimsy. And so here is a tip that changed my world. I tend to leave my supplies, my products, when I get them in the packaging. It's just easiest for me, but what I dislike is how difficult it is to get tags off of that adhesive. It's great for storage, it's great for sales, all of that, but in terms of getting your product in and out of the packaging, it's a little difficult. So I use my embossing bag. So we all have different types of embossing powder mechanisms. Mine is a bag. I have a couple different bags, and I just smack it over that glue or that tape adhesive, and it removes some of that sticky, so it helps get those dies in and out of the packaging a little bit easier. So I'm sorry that took me so long to explain, but it's, for me, it's a worth it tip. So I have die cut all of my pieces using the smaller of the 2 dies from the Shaker Maker banner dies, and you can see that I did just a little down and dirty ink blending on the top half of each of those dies, the background as well as the front frame. And the top half I used Lucky Clover Oxide, and the bottom half I am using Gathered Twigs, and this is the regular Distress. And I do a little bit of splatter after each. So I do some splatter on the green, I do some splatter on the brown, and look at that lovely inky mess that I'm making. Does that drive you crazy? Or are you like me and you absolutely love an inky mess? My heart is happy, happy, happy when I'm making a mess like that. And look at those results, like all of that beautiful splatter and texture. Oh, it just makes my heart swoon. Okay, back to the process. So you can see that I have added a pretty strong double-sided adhesive around the perimeter of each of these frames. Excuse me, and now I'm adding acetate. There are lots of acetates out there. This one is just from my stash. This calls for confetti, has a great acetate. I believe Whimsy sells it in the store. I will link to it if they do. If they don't, I apologize, but this one is just from my stash. So lay it down on that double-sided adhesive because we don't want it coming off, so you want to make sure that it's a strong adhesive. And then I just use my scissors to fussy cut it out because cutting any type of acetate with dies is very difficult. But I just use a little undercut technique where instead of holding my scissors parallel to my cardstock, I tip the bottom under just a little bit, and that helps so that you don't have any excess hanging out. And now this part you could have done before you put the acetate in. This was just my process. But I'm taking some of those smaller stamps, which almost all stamp sets come with them, the smaller like background or extra stamps that sometimes get ignored. And so in this case, these actually create the scene. Like, and before I put the trees down, you couldn't necessarily tell that it was a landscape. It was kind of coming together, but once the trees are on there, boom, now you have a scene. It just makes that much of an impact. And so right here, I'm stamping, excuse me, I don't think this is Lucky Clover. I think that is Evergreen Bough. Pardon me. It's pollination time here in North Carolina, and my allergies are crazy, so I do apologize. But I wanted to show this from a different perspective instead of up close because you can see how each one now is its own scene. Each little banner tag is its own scene. And then I'm going to add them to the larger tags and extend that scene. So I have stamped, colored, fussy cut each of these little Foxy family members out. This particular project isn't about the coloring of the images, it's more about the construction of the tags, but obviously they are the star of the show. So I just wanted to make sure that I showed that. And one tip is when you fussy cut, if you don't want a white border, take a black pen and go around the edge of your image, and then that just makes a really clean black border around each image so that you don't have that white border. And so to create the shaker wells, I did not show this, and I do apologize, but I have a double-sided foam adhesive laid down on the back of the acetate in the same area where the double-sided adhesive was laid. And that creates the shaker well. And I always add, excuse me, a little bit of wet glue as well, just to give me a little wiggle room if I need it. And I put down, in this case, some iridescent clear confetti. And then I close it up by putting the back of the tag on there, and I shake it to make sure everything moves. And it does. Sometimes the little confetti want to get stuck to the edges of that double-sided foam tape. So another tip is that you might want to go in before you put the confetti in and just take like your embossing bag again and like pop some of that powder down in there, so that will take some of that adhesive off the sides. So now here again, I'm auditioning all my pieces and my players. And this is kind of a dress rehearsal, if you will, because everything's coming together. It's just a matter of finding the placement and where I'm going to put everything down. Now, you can see that I have my mini tags on the side kind of overlapping each of the larger tags. So I do that for a couple reasons. A, it adds interest, and B, it extends the scene, if you will. And I have one on the left side, and then I'm alternating to the right side, and then I go to the left and then the right again, because as I mentioned in the beginning, this is an accordion book, and I want there to be room between each of them so that it can open and close, or fold, I guess, in this case. And so where the two come together to form a signature, I don't want there to be any overlap. And then on the next one's the same thing. So in between each signature is where the smaller of the banner tags will overlap. And I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get there. So see top, middle, those two where they overlap, that will be the middle of the signatures, because on the right is one signature, and on the left, where I'm adding some more trees, will be the left signature. And we'll be putting it together right here, you can see. So I did go back and I added some more of the trees just to kind of fill in the scenes where it felt like it was maybe a little empty. And I also wanted to mention that I stamped in both the green and the brown. That kind of brought everything together as well. But that tiny little stamp really, and there are a couple of the tree stamps in this set, but it really just brought this whole thing to life. Super, super cute. And again, these tags were created from leftover medium from a previous project, and they've just been sitting in my stash for a while. They've been calling out to me, but here we are. Now, to create my accordion, I will link to another video where I made another tag book similar to this not long ago. But on this case, I just have this felt ribbon. I think it was from the Walmart dollar, or not Walmart, the Target dollar place or whatever that's called, during Christmas. And it's just this fun evergreen felt ribbon, and I thought that would be really fun way to use that ribbon and to tie all of these together. And so you can see that I've just, well, you can't see, but I've adhered the ribbon with hot glue on the back, and I'm sorry my words are getting tongue tangled. But here we are at the end, and now you can see what I'm talking about with my signatures, how I want them to go left, right, and you can see it as a completed project. But that is my book, and here is kind of a close-up look at each one of the tags. And I just had a really good time with this. Lots of tips for you. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you're able to use some of these tips. And just let me know what you think downstairs. I'd love to hear from you. Everything, as always, will be linked and listed downstairs in the description box for your convenience. And of course, we'd love to have you come over to our Facebook page, as well as interest in Pinterest and Instagram. And I hate when I do that. And guys, until next time, this has been Nancy, the Handy Scandy for Whimsy Stamps. Thank you for spending some time with me. Mwah. Until next time, guys, I'm out.